In the words of world-famous chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov, life imitates chess. You have to constantly make decisions, each coming with consequences, sometimes immediately, sometimes way in the future. And all of that under pressure and time constraint. Yeah, that sounds a lot like life, right? Therefore, it isn't surprising that there are many studies that prove that chess players actually are better or at least more efficient at problem solving and decision making. So in this video, I'll break down 4 key strategies that help you improve your day-to-day decision making. And while I myself am a very mediocre chess player at best, I do think that chess had a profound impact on my decision making process over the last 10 years, both in my own business as well as in my personal life. So without further ado, let's jump into number 1. Thinking several moves ahead. Calculation is something that happens a lot in chess. But in very simple terms, it means that when you are considering a certain move, you try to calculate what will happen afterwards, right? Like, if I go here, what will my opponent do? And for each possible answer, what would I do next? And so the best players are able to visualize how the board will look 4, 5, 6 moves in the future. And obviously you try to choose the move that involves as little risk for yourself as possible, while on the other hand puts as much pressure as possible on your opponent, right? So how can you apply this in real life? As an example, if I would be deciding on whether I should, start, let's say, a YouTube channel or not, I could think of the most likely scenarios that would happen after doing, 5 videos. That could be not getting any views at all and being frustrated, or liking the process but not having enough time, or whatever else that would seem likely to you. The key here is likely, as it is probably not wise to imagining yourself being a millionaire, a YouTube millionaire after just 5 videos, right? But with the more realistic scenarios, you could then go and think about your next moves. Like, for example, here outsourcing the editing process, or making less frequent uploads, or here remembering why you started in the first place and pushing through another 5 videos, or maybe changing your niche or actually quitting. Either way, such a decision tree helps you think through difficult decisions and seeing possible outcomes and risks and chances, and in general it prepares you better for whatever life throws at you. On the other hand though, your opponent could make a move that didn't cross your mind at all, something you're not thought about. In that case, it is obviously important to reassess the situation and not blindly carrying on with your plan, both in chess as in life. Okay, number 2, recognizing patterns. Next to pure calculation, being great at recognizing familiar patterns is a big part of what makes a good chess player. For example, a very simple pattern that you will learn to see early on in your chess career is the queen and the bishop on the same diagonal pointing to your king. This threatens mate and you losing the game. So whenever you see those 2 pieces on the same diagonal, chess players will recognize this pattern without any calculation. That happens very quickly. And at least you're then aware of possible danger, right? Now, if you're playing chess, this is of course extremely basic and obvious, but it's all about the general idea here. And in real everyday life, we see patterns and we behave in patterns all the time. So what you could do is trying to be more mindful in identifying and recognizing patterns and then acting accordingly. Like if you've been in a bad relationship with somebody acting in a certain way and you're now dating another person that acts similarly, perhaps you see a pattern here and you maybe you make the conscious decision to steer clear of that person, right? Or you could go to the next level here and actually analyze certain periods in your life where you felt particularly happy or particularly unhappy on the other end of the spectrum. And then look at what you were doing at that time in your life, like what people you surrounded yourself with and what decisions you were making and so on. You can even try to have something like a pattern journal where you are actively writing down recurring situations or problems you encounter, and maybe you identify some patterns that often lead to you being happy or the opposite. And that's obviously super helpful for your future decision making, as you can double down on things that worked and avoid decisions that led to misery. Now to number 3, sacrifices. The goal in chess is checkmate. You're surrounding your opponent's king until he has no room to escape, and mate is unavoidable. Crucially, it doesn't matter with how many pieces you achieve this. A win is a win. So there are many positions where it's actually the best move to sacrifice a piece in order to get closer to the win. And sometimes that win might be many moves in the future. It's just a positional advantage you gain with sacrificing a piece. And no chess player will argue about that, as they are obviously quite pragmatic about this and goal focused. Yet in real life people struggle with the concept a lot. While we all know that, for example, exercise is a good thing, we struggle with sacrificing 1 hour to go to the gym instead of lying at the couch, right? Or another example would be if you have the goal of getting wealthy, you will have to make some sacrifices, right? That could be saving money, working hard, and so on. All of which will sacrifice something else on your way to your goal. Now, life thankfully is not as binary as black and white, pun intended, as chess, as there's no absolute winning or losing, right? But I still think that it's a good thing to be at least aware that sometimes you have to make sacrifices in order to get ahead, that this is actually a very natural thing, right? And finally, number 4, the opening. In chess, the first moves you make are called the opening. And there are many different ones, like the English or the Italian opening, or quite famously the Queen's Gambit. And all of those have one goal in common: get you the best start in the game as possible. And on a high level, chess players have huge repertoires of different openings for both colors, and there's lots and lots of theory of what are the very best moves in each of those openings. So in essence, the first 10 to maybe 15 moves of a high-level chess game is all preparation, where the players are just remembering moves they learned or prepared. And then at some point the game shifts to an unfamiliar position, one that has probably never been achieved before. Yes, chess has more possible positions than there are atoms in the observable universe. Crazy. And then once this unique position has been achieved, the real game begins. But the opening is the foundation for everything that comes later on. And mistakes in the opening set you up on the wrong foot, so to speak. Transferred over to our day-to-day lives, you could say that you have to create a good foundation for great decision making. In the macro, that could be, a healthy, well-rounded lifestyle in general, while in the micro you'd be looking at a morning routine, for example, that sets you up in the best way possible for your day. Or something more specific, like maybe you found out that you make the best decisions when you are in the shower or when you are hiking. In that case, you should actively wait with difficult decisions until you are showering or you are taking a walk. And you probably have noticed that this also goes back to the idea of pattern recognition, like finding out what has worked in the past and then doubling down. One such pattern I recognized for myself is that I'm horrible at using gift cards. And I always bought stuff that I didn't really need in the first place. So if that sounds familiar to you, here's a video you might like. That's it for today. I hope you found that video interesting. If so, please, give it a like and consider subscribing for more videos about decision making. Alright, have a great day. Thank you very much. Cheers.